So I made this dish a long time ago when I was drunk at a party for all my buddies, and it was really good. So we're gonna try and do that again today. Only we're gonna do some mushroom risotto with it too. Let's cook. Welcome back to the kitchen, everybody. So this year I started the day before with the hot peppers. I like to soak them overnight. And you see there's a little trick here I'm gonna show you. If you get the stem of the pepper and you pop it in and pull it out, the whole stem will come out with the seeds and everything, the core and everything. It's a great tip to learn. Just chopping these up into, thinner size rings. You can make them as thick as you want, but I like to make these a little bit thinner so that way when I soak them overnight, they get kind of soft. Not totally soft, but they're not hard as a rock. You want to soak these in white vinegar. You want to put a decent amount of vinegar, pretty much submerge them in it, and salt, and soak for 24 hours. When you get done, drain them. Make sure you get all that vinegar out of there. Put them back in your bowl. And we're going to add some olive oil. Dried oregano, dried basil, garlic powder, black pepper, and just a little bit of salt since we soaked them in salt and vinegar the night before. Add a little bit of fresh garlic. Mix it all together. There's your hot peppers. This recipe is super easy and really good. You can use it for any dish. Now we're going to begin chopping all of our stuff for the rest of the dishes. This is just some chopped garlic for the risotto. I like to chop my garlic pretty fine. I don't like big chunks of garlic in my risotto. Certain dishes I like big chunks in, but not for a delicate dish like risotto. Next, get your shallot, and you're gonna notice here I chop it two different ways. The first way I'm going to dice it, and then the other section of the shallot I'm going to slice. And the slice one you're gonna see whenever I go to do the pork chops. We're gonna caramelize those for our pork chops. So this is the dice. And then you'll notice here I'm doing little slices of shallot too. For your mushrooms, you could use any type of mushroom you'd like. For this recipe, I just use some normal button mushrooms, and I'm removing the stems and just making sure they look clean and decent. Some of them were a little bit spotty, so I was making sure I was getting the right ones. And just go ahead and slice these up. And then now I'm going to dice them up. I want it to be kind of bite-sized pieces for the risotto. Just a quick rough chop, running the blade through it. All right, let's move on to the pork chops here. Very simple when it comes to the seasoning. I'm just doing salt and pepper on both sides. Get your pan ready with high heat, some olive oil. We're going to give these pork chops a hard sear. So I have that heat on pretty high right now. And the pork chops are only going to be on each side maybe 2.5 minutes. Like I said, just want to get a nice hard sear on each side to lock in those flavors. Nice golden brown on that side. Now once you have got your hard sear done, put those off to the side, and in the same pan, do not drain the liquid from your pan. We're going to add those sliced shallots. A little bit of salt and pepper. And the goal here is to try and get these shallots to be caramelized. We're going to add in some white wine to deglaze that pan. Get the drippings from our pork chops, our shallots. I still have a pretty high heat here. I'm going to let that white wine cook out the alcohol a little bit and reduce. Once you see the white wine reduce a little bit of caramelization on your shallots, reduce the heat down to a low and add your butter pads in. You want a low heat because you don't want that butter to separate. You want everything to be kind of incorporate slowly. It's going to create a nice sauce for you. Now it's time to add our pork chops back in. And we're going to add the shallots back on top of the pork chops with a little bit of the juice. Then add our hot peppers to it. and then pop it in the oven for about 20 minutes total. You're going to see we're going to pull it out halfway through. But go ahead and put that in the oven. It's a 350-degree oven for about 20 to 22 minutes. Let's jump into our mushroom risotto. We're going to start the pan with some olive oil and shallot. I like to do the shallot first because it takes a little bit longer to cook than the garlic, and you don't want the garlic to burn. Add your salt. A little bit of black pepper. Once you see your shallots becoming a little bit more translucent, go ahead and add your garlic in. Go ahead and start adding in your rice. And what you want to do is you kind of want to get a little bit of a toast before you add any liquid in. That way this soaks up the seasonings you put in there, a little bit of the oil you put in there. Once you have achieved a little bit of a toasting on your rice, add in your white wine. Cooking risotto is a very delicate process. I have this on a pretty medium heat right now. Just want to get all that white wine cooked out. And then now I have reduced the heat down to a mid to low heat. And now I'm going to start adding in my broth. Right here I'm using chicken stock. And you do slow increments at a time. Let the rice absorb that liquid. And once it starts absorbing, add more. And repeat this process until you start getting the risotto a little bit more tender. And you want to cook it to about 80% of the way. And then I'll show you how to finish it. You have to give risotto constant attention, constantly stirring, constantly adding liquid. Let's go back to our pork chops. I'm going to bring these out of the oven. It's been about 10 to 11 minutes. Those look great. We're going to add our Swiss cheese on top. And then go ahead and pop them back in the oven for about another 10 to 11 minutes and let that Swiss cheese melt very nicely on there. Let's add our mushrooms to our mushroom risotto. We're going to fold them into our risotto there. Mushrooms don't take long to cook, so I do this closer to the end of the process. We're going to add a little bit more liquid. And then let that reduce down. Once that reduces, start adding in our butter and a little bit of heavy cream. Right now the risotto is cooked about 80 to 85%. Add in our butter, our heavy cream. This gives it a nice velvety texture. then I'm going to finish it off with some freshly grated pecorino cheese. Fold that in, and your risotto is finished. Now it's time to plate. This dish came out really, really good. I hope you guys enjoy it as well. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them. That's about as good as I remember it. Wow, is that good? Don't forget the threads, baby.